Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. This is the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, where we dive into the simple yet overlooked habits that can make or break your health. Now, let me ask you something. How much water did your child drink today? How about you? If you think you're drinking enough, there's a reality check. Nearly 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated, and they don't even realize it. Dehydration doesn't just make you thirsty, it can cause headaches, fatigue, mood swings, digestive issues, and even impact brain function. And get this, some of the most common symptoms in kids, like trouble focusing or feeling sluggish, could actually be signs of dehydration. That's why we're tackling the silent health crisis with one of the best in the business. Joining us today is Dr. Will Cole. He's a top functional medicine expert, host of the Art of Being Well podcast, and the New York Times bestselling author. He's here to break down why most of us are dehydrated, how it's affecting our bodies in ways we don't even realize, and what we can do to fix it. Is your child secretly dehydrated? Well, let's tackle the hidden health crisis parents need to know. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Dr. Will Cole. Welcome, superstar.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So excited. Okay, hydration. The role of hydration in optimal health is something that has piqued my interest as a mom. Let's start with the basics. I mean, most people think dehydration just means being really thirsty, but from what I've read, by the time you feel thirsty, your body is already in a deficit. And dehydration isn't just a summer problem, it's affecting people year round, even in colder weather. So why is hydration the foundation of good health? And what are some signs that people, especially parents and kids, um, what are the signs that they might be dehydrated without even realizing it?
It's more than just drinking more water, which we can talk about that. That's part of it, but not the entirety of it. So the symptoms of, let's call it functional dehydration or suboptimal hydration, is far-reaching. We can go from every cell of our body, every system of our body, but it's one thing that's going to profoundly impact our mood, our energy levels, our digestion, our mental health, so many different things. So it's definitely important, and we overlook it. Some in our culture, we're so busy, we're so distracted, and we're thinking about all the big things. We forget the simple things that are significant needle movers to how we feel.
Yeah, you're right. And so many people wake up already feeling drained, reaching for coffee before they even get out of bed. And I mean, parents, I mean, we're guilty of this too, running on caffeine and wondering why we're still exhausted by noon. I mean, but I've heard that even mild dehydration can cause fatigue and brain fog. So I'm very mindful of this as of lately. What's the connection between hydration and energy levels? And how can people tell if their tiredness is actually due to dehydration?
Well, our brain needs water. On a cellular level, our brain needs hydration. So, water, and I would open it up to water plus electrolytes. Electrolytes tell water where to go, electrolytes tell hydration where to go. And there's a lot of the work from Dr. Gerald Pollack out of the University of Washington has done some amazing research about water, looking at something called structured water or gel water. It is something not enough people know about, but it's the science is fascinating, and it's the actual structure of water within our cells. And actually, it's chemical structure is different. It's H3O2 versus H2O, and this is the type of water within our cells. And Dr. Gerald Pollack talks about how using food and water plus electrolytes to really enhance hydration. So the old view of hydration was just to drink water, which again, that's a piece of it, but it's so much more than that. We want the bioavailability of water, the effectiveness of hydration to be increased. So anybody that's struggling with brain fog or fatigue, they definitely want to make sure they're optimizing hydration. And it's one of the most common things that I see with new telehealth patients is that their electrolytes are imbalanced, and that's impacting hydration, and they're struggling with brain fog and fatigue and feeling irritable, wired, and tired. They don't know it's something as simple as just optimizing hydration.
Yeah, that's why I love coconut water. I mean, separate of the fact that
Yeah.
it's dense in electrolytes. I mean, you have all your basics, right? Potassium, magnesium, and those are the most important, really, for optimal function.
Medicine be thy food and food thy medicine. That's Hippocrates, one of the fathers of modern medicine. Every doctor takes the Hippocratic oath. And coconut water is one of my favorite tools like food medicines that I recommend to our telehealth patients because it has hydration, it has water, right? But it also has those electrolytes, like you mentioned, like potassium and magnesium. And it also has this structure of the gel water that I talked about from Dr. Gerald Pollack. It's actually more hydrating than water alone because of these other compounds within it. Other foods that are higher in gel water, coconut water would be top of the list, chia seeds would be another one, fruits, vegetables would be other ones, bone broth would be another one. Is using food and drinks to that are from nature to enhance hydration. You're going to notice such a difference when versus just chugging water all day long, which again that can be a part of your day, but you want to have a both and not either or approach, and using something like coconut water is a great way to take hydration to the next level.
I couldn't agree more. You said the words right. I mean, you stole the words out of my mouth. Now let's shift to gut health. So hydration and gut health. One thing that rarely gets mentioned is the role hydration plays in digestion. We hear all about fiber, probiotics, and healthy foods, but none of that works properly if your body isn't absorbing and moving nutrients the way it should. So can you explain how hydration impacts gut health, digestion, and even our microbiome?
Yeah. So and this is really beautiful. We talked about this right after the brain. I mean, your gut and brain, all of our gut and brain, and when I say gut, I mean small intestines, large intestines, stomach. The gut and brain is formed from the same fetal tissue. So when babies are growing in their mother's womb, the gut and brain are formed from the same fetal tissue, and they're inextricably linked for the rest of our life through what's known in the scientific literature as the gut-brain axis, or the connection between the gut and the brain. And that's why researchers call the gut the second brain. If you think about it, the intestines kind of even look like the brain. 95% of serotonin, our happy neurotransmitter, is made in the gut, stored in the gut. 50% of dopamine, our pleasure neurotransmitter, is made in the gut, stored in the gut. Hydration plays a significant role. We talked about the brain, but it's going to impact the second brain too, the gut. And you're right. Prebiotics, fiber, probiotics, talking about all these nutrient density when it comes to food. It's important, but it's all predicated on hydration because it's the vehicle in which everything can be functioning on a cellular level. So, I mean, let me count the ways. If someone's dehydrated, it's going to slow GI motility. So a lot of people that have sluggish bowels, we talk a lot about poop, if we can talk about this on the radio, but poop is a common thing we talk about here at the Functional Medicine Telehealth Center because it's a window, it's a check engine light into how well or how unwell your body is. You should be going 2 to 3 snakes a day, as we say, as far as the frequency and formation of your number 2, of your bowel movement. So if you're doing less than that, or it's not fully formed, or it's incomplete, these are signs you may be dehydrated or have other gut issues that need to be looked at. But hydration is certainly item number 1 that you should be looking at. It's going to impact the microbiome, as you said, which is all the trillions of bacteria in your gut. Those bacteria need hydration to live. So depending on the study that you cite, we have upwards of 100 trillion bacteria in our gut that impact our mood, impact your immune system, impact your hormones, and impact your digestion. And to put that into context, we have about 30 trillion human cells. We are exponentially more bacteria than human. All this bacteria, this microbiome metropolis, this gut garden that we have needs water to grow. So it needs hydration to grow, which I would say, again, using
Yeah.
foods as hydration, like coconut water and other gel water rich foods, are an important tool. So it is needed. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean,
Yeah, no, you're definitely
Yeah.
passionate about this. So now let's move on to hydration and skin health. So let's talk skin, because who doesn't want the natural glow? I see people spending hundreds on skincare routines, but what if the biggest beauty secret is just proper hydration, right? So how does hydration affect skin health, and what are some signs that dehydration might be showing up on our face?
The body's interconnected, right? So what's going on your skin, how your skin looks, is oftentimes an outer mirror of what's going on in the body, specifically in the gut. So all those things that I talked about that's happening in the gut, right? If you're dehydrated and your bacteria are not being properly hydrated, I didn't mention this, but the mucosal barrier, which is this protective barrier within the gut, there can be a lot of opportunistic and pathogenic bacteria within the gut microbiome. There can be a depletion of this protective mucosal barrier because of the lack of hydration in the gut. This creates an inhospitable, healthy environment for good bacteria. And a lot of weeds can go overgrow in this gut garden because you're not properly hydrating it. And it's going to starve out the good guys and create these pro-inflammatory cytokines called, or bacterial toxins that release cytokines called lipopolysaccharides or bacterial toxins. Anyways, they can pass
Wait,
through the
wait,
gut lining.
that's perfect. That's because my
Yeah.
next question is the link between hydration and inflammation. Because
Oh, yeah.
what you just said is so key. I mean, inflammation is a major root cause of chronic illness, from joint pain to autoimmune disorders. And while diet gets a lot of the attention, I've read that hydration, to your point, plays a huge role in regulating inflammation. So since
Yeah.
you're on this, can you break down the relationship between hydration and inflammation, and how,
Yeah.
again, staying properly hydrated with those balanced electrolytes can really help with things like pain, bloating, and even immune health?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of things we're talking about with brain fog and fatigue, digestive problems, skin issues, if you're talking about acne or wrinkles, skin inflammation, accelerated aging of the skin, these are all inflammatory. So, yes, the joint pain, the musculoskeletal aches and pains, that's inflammation. People know that a bit more overtly. So maybe just to maybe shock everybody and surprise everybody, that a lot of those other things we talked about are inflammatory too. It's the commonality between just about every health problem under the sun is chronic inflammation. And hydration does a lot to support a healthy, balanced immune system and to flush out, if you will, or decrease pro-inflammatory pathways. So the skin can be inflamed, which could impact any lack of hydration that's going on is going to impact the skin in a negative way and contribute to inflammation. But it's so much more than just the skin. So you're right. Every cell of your body, most people, sadly today, are somewhere on this inflammation spectrum. A shocking 93% of the United States, according to conventional data, is metabolically not healthy. Why? Inflammation. Inflammation
Inflammation.
is what's causing that. So you want to move the needle in inflammation and calm inflammation, it has to start with hydration, because it's going to allow everything else you're doing from a food standpoint and wellness standpoint to be more effective.
So
Think of
the
it as like,
domino effect. Yeah.
exactly. It's the gasoline for things to happen in a positive way on a cellular level.
Yeah. Now we always hear, stay hydrated when we're sick, but most people don't realize how much stress and illness actually increase our hydration needs. So why does our body need more hydration when we're stressed, run down, or recovering from illness? And what are, some ways to understand that, okay, there's stressors right now and I need to start replenishing properly?
When the body's stressed by, from either physical or mental emotional reasons, the body's demand for hydration is going to come up because it's spending more on hydration just to maintain homeostasis, balance. So the body's trying to keep you functioning, it's trying to maintain homeostasis, but it's having trouble doing so. So it's spending a lot. It's spending a lot in vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, and hydration. So all that stuff, you need to give your body more and overcompensate, if you will, in hydration and other things within nutrition to mitigate this over expenditure during this stressful time in life. And that's why stress management is so important, right? Because it is erosive to our health, but sometimes we can't change this stressful time in our life. Maybe, you can't, if you have a cold or flu, you kind of have to ride it out. That's why hydration is so important, because your body's demand for hydration has gone up.
Yeah, yeah. So bringing me to the very last question to button this up, and this has been a great segment full of insight and education, but practical hydration tips. I know people are like, well, just drink water. Sure, you say just drink water, but at the end of the day, people are not hydrated. So it's not that easy to just, hey, let me just remember. So we know why hydration is so important because we just broke it all down. And talking about how to actually make it a habit is really critical, because let's be real, most people just forget to drink water until it's too late. So talking about best practical strategies for people, especially busy parents who struggle to stay hydrated throughout the day, and even the kids, what are your tips?
Well, sometimes we can use technology to our benefit. We are on our phones too much. So I'm not advocating for people to just be scrolling social media forever and ever. But sometimes setting notifications, there are apps that can allow you to remember it more, be more mindful throughout the day and create healthy habits. And that's what we want to do. You can use technology for its benefits in the short term until it becomes an intuitive, mindful habit. So I love phone notifications to be able to drink. I think they're I think the bottles that show you the amount of liquid, and
Yes.
you is a great way to say, okay, this is my goal for the day,
Yeah.
and I can do this. And you just carry that big old bottle of coconut water plus electrolytes, something that's going to have that sort of gel water that I talked about, this sort of nutrient dense water, if you will, sipping on that throughout the day, and eating not just water like we keep talking about, but eating foods that are nutrient dense that are also hydrating, whether it's coconut water, whether it's chia seeds, fruits, vegetables, bone broth. These things are, you may not think of them as hydrating, but they are very, very hydrating. And I would argue in many ways more hydrating than water alone. So maybe it's not just that bottle of water that's, that's your goal for the day, but how can you use your meals as medicine that is going to be hydrating you in a much deeper cellular way? So
So
these are some
important.
tips that I would say that to be successful.
Love it. Love it. And reach out for that coconut water. That 1 can of coconut water will work miracles for your skin, your hair, your gut microbiome. I make sure I, drink 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, the pure. And a big shout out to Once Upon a Coconut. Dr. Will Cole, we are thrilled that you were on this segment. Can't wait to send you all the samples of the different varieties of the Once Upon a Coconut flavor to get your expert opinion on that one, but you're going to love it.
Love it. Can't wait.
If you guys want to find out more, you can definitely head directly to Dr. Will Cole's website. It's drwillcole.com. He's all over social media, on the gram, on X, on TikTok, as Dr. Will Cole. That was the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. This was a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.